It's a big week. We got training camps, TV schedules, coaching staffs, all that and more on episode 49 of the USFL podcast.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome back, everybody, to another amazing edition of the USFL podcast. I'm the ref representing USFL Newsroom, the leaders in USFL news. And boy, oh boy, am I glad to be here back at Camp Ref, back at HQ after all that traveling. But hey, you know I couldn't get any further without doing this. I'm joined, as always, by my man, Zach Keilman. How you doing today, my friend? Last week in Indy, how you doing?
Yeah, last week in Indy, things are progressing as much as they can. I'm got some packing behind me I'm doing and getting ready for a nice long road trip. But for now, back in Indianapolis after doing a little bit of scouting with you in Arizona for a place. And then, soon enough, my studio will be changing around. So things are good right now. You know, just wanted to get one good episode in before I hit the road and kind of start thinking about that again.
Well, we'll get one episode in. I don't know if it'll be any good, but I think it will be. I don't know. We'll have to see. Tell us down in the comments below. While you're doing that, I mean, social media, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button. Click the bell. It builds morale, and it also lets you know when we're going live, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But comments, likes, those things always help. You know what else? If you're listening to the audio version, we haven't really plugged this in a while. Go ahead and give us a review, good, bad, in between. We want to know. Go ahead and hit it. Let it be known. Let your voices be heard.
Right. You guys help us improve the show and give us ideas for what to move forward with. So please feel free to drop anything in the comments or on our podcast pages as well.
Yep. And social media. What the hell are you doing at USFL Podcast? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the TikTok. It's going. It's live.
We got 3 videos now on TikTok.
We got 3 whole videos on TikTok. Dancing to your heart's desire. Go follow us at USFL Podcast because that's where all the skinny's at. I'll be honest, we have a lot of stuff going on Twitter, but TikTok, it's starting to build up. But here's the thing. I talked about clicking the bell, building the rel, following us over on social media. Here's what that's going to help you do. It's going to help you know when we go live. And boy, oh boy, do we got a big one coming up. Spring Stock 2, baby. Spring Stock 2023. The Bash is in the bar. Casey's Sports Bar, to be exact. Kicking off at 12 p.m. Central, April 15th. Now, I'll tell you, Zach, April 15th. You might say, well, that day seems familiar. It is, buddy. It's the same day that the USFL is kicking off Season 2. Spring Stock 2, USFL Season 2. So nice. We're doing it twice because one day later, we're heading up to Memphis, Tennessee for a grudge game tailgate where the Houston Gamblers are going to kick off the season in fantastic style. Maybe putting up 90 points on those Panther boys. We'll see. Maybe getting into that triple-digit area. Zach, you're going to get tired of hearing me after the first 5 minutes and we have 40 points. Whew.
It's okay. I host next week. I'll be putting my own plugs a lot more in. And you said here's the thing that kills me. You're going on Twitter. You're saying we're going to put up 21 in the first quarter on these guys. And I'm saying, no, excuse me. No way. You're not even going to crack double digits, my friend. You are going to be stuck in the doldrums here. I will be laughing as Eric Marty's offense laps around you over in the Liberty Bowl.
I don't see it happening, but only time will tell. And if you want to hear us talking smack, join us 9 a.m. Central, right outside of that Liberty Bank Stadium. Because I'll tell you, you're going to hear me on TV. Oh, boy, you're going to hear me good or bad. And you know what? One thing we've heard notice with the XFL, they're a little bit slow on the button. I don't know. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to keep, those sensors might have to keep an eye on that button depending on what team is above. I'll just be honest with you there. Anyway, we're going to have fun. We hope to see you there. Spring Stock 2. I'm getting hype about it. And here's the thing. We got guests. And we got some big old guests. And guess what? We're not going to tell you yet because that's how we're doing things. But if you come back next week, hey, it's not hard. Episode 50, Zach, I think it's only appropriate. We saved these goodies for episode 50. And honestly, I don't even know if we're going to announce all the guests next week. But you're going to want to make sure you tune in for episode 50 because we're going to announce some spring stock details that I don't think anybody's going to believe. I got to pinch myself, Zach. Nope, I'm not sleeping. I wasn't sure if I believed it myself, but I'm getting ready.
If anything, just tune in for that because we'll be pumping that super hard. I cannot stress. I know I'm not emphasizing enough, but some of the guys we're getting, I'm like, last year I would have been surprised if we did. This year I'm even still surprised that we're getting these folks, but it's going to be incredible to have them. So seriously, stay tuned. You'll want to tune in next week
for sure
for a few reveals.
And if you can't make it to Birmingham, like I said, we get it. You can also tune in on YouTube. We're doing good times, good guests, and giveaways both in person and away. And we got some good giveaways in the works, but I'm going to hold off on that as well. Like I said, episode 50, tune in. We're going to have all sorts of spring stock details. It's even bigger than I thought it would be, that it could be. Zach, now I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to spring stock 3, and we haven't even gotten done with 2 because I don't know if we can top this one. I don't know if we could top it, but we're going to try. We're going to try. Oh, yeah. So, we're looking forward to it. If you're in town, come and hang out with us. If you can't, join us online. But, hey, name of the game. You know what keeps this game alive? Television. You know all about television. You're moving across the country for some television action. Well, we got the USFL TV schedule. And let me just say this before we jump into it. They are not messing around in season 2.
No, sir.
My God, if we look at some of the feedback that we got last year, what's up with these Peacock games? I shouldn't have to pay to watch these games. And then, once you talk about cable and Peacock. So, okay, first and foremost, all games, every game on linear TV. Zach, you're the TV expert. I'm going to let you, because I could probably explain it, but you're going to do a much better job and probably a much better way of articulating what the heck that means for maybe the laymen's out there.
Well, sure. So you have linear and you have OTT, which, it kind of stipulates just what you're viewing it from. Linear is more the standard broadcasting angle. So your television at your house, cable or, broadcast television over antenna. OTT's like streaming options for the most part. So like your Peacock. So basically the USFL has made sure that pretty much most of their games are pretty much the majority of their games are going to be linear television and straight up that.
Well, all games. So all games are on linear, which is going to be regular and cable. But to the point you're getting to here, this is, we're talking over half of the games is on free over-the-air broadcast TV.
Correct. And I misconstrued when I said most because I was referring to the national broadcast as in Fox and NBC, which that to me is the bigger number because broadcast games are generally your best for viewership. They are the ones that are easiest to access for any individual because they are on all platforms, whether it's antenna, cable, satellite, or streaming as well. And the cable games they minimized, and the Peacock games, like you said, they got rid of the exclusivity, and they did a good note in my playbook, and actually took a note from the XFL in my eyes from this and said, let's just make it where they're simulcasted on here instead, because that helps with your viewership numbers in terms of kind of having a larger base to have viewership between the two platforms, and it removes some of the stigma around exclusive deals. I'll be honest with you, like right now there's still not enough of an audience on streaming platforms for live sports to do an exclusive broadcast deal. They tried last year. I think, as they stated, they were experimenting with a lot of stuff. Sure. They moved the schedule around. It was a lot of trying to figure out what worked best. That was something I think they went and said, this didn't really move the needle for us. So, to help grow NBC's platform still, but also not bar people and not say get a negative portion of people on your, TV deal, open this up. And they did, and it still is great. So like, say you want, for example, to me, this is where the win is. Say you are a guy, you're a cord cutter, you're not going to get cable. You want as little involvement with cable as possible. You'll have to set, unfortunately, I mean, for you can't get FS1 unless you want to buy, but for USA, $5, you get 7 USA games now, including the 11 NBC games on Peacock. So 18 of those games will be simulcast via Peacock service. Fox will, of course, have the majority of broadcast. They have 18 total by themselves, which makes sense. I mean, they're the majority. They're the one that owns this property.
Right on, yeah.
And they are giving the broadcast deal. And then FS1 has 7 games. But hey, you'll figure it out if you need to. Nonetheless, majority of games super easy to access. There's no buy-in, which is big to me. More free games are better for audiences, in my opinion. And something that I think sticks out that we were wondering about as the year going on, and a lot of people I think were wondering about too, is, they even showed the playoffs off in terms of the broadcast schedule. And this is pretty neat. NBC is going to be the championship home this season. They're rotating them.
Yeah.
They're doing a standard rotation, kind of like the NFL does, which that's a unique bone to throw to your partner so that you're not hogging it. And I bet it could be part of the deal itself, but that's a smart move, I think, to keep your guys happy, because now they're like, oh, cool. Well, we can get, that easy, to me, easy 1 million plus viewership audience and sell ad rates there for ourselves to take home this time around. And even though we have less games, we can bank on having that one.
For sure. And to a certain extent, I think it works both ways, right? I think that helps legitimize the league, right? It's really easy for Fox to put the game on Fox, right? They own the league. But the fact that, they have a deal with NBC, which, again, going back to our conversations last year, blew my mind, right? You have one of your major competitors buying into a product that you co-own, but now we're seeing it a step further of them kind of taking on the championship and broadcasting it over their airwaves, which, again, gives legitimacy to the league. It's very easy. I'll say it again. Very, very, very easy for Fox to air the USFL championship on any of their games. Very similar to like the XFL. It's going to be on ESPN, ABC, I can't recall, but they have the gauntlet, but it's not going to air on anything outside of that ESPN Disney family. This, I think from an outsider looking in, that, it does. You have multiple networks. Now, I don't know if we'll ever see them jump onto like CBS as well. I don't think they need to, realistically. And you know what? Say what you want. I think when it comes down to football, the two best broadcasts are Fox and NBC. That's my preference. I get that other people like CBS, other people like ESPN. Me, I'm a Fox guy, and then secondarily NBC. So I kind of love to see this here. But the number of games that we're getting, that's because what we're not really talking about here, we're talking about the number of games, but even looking back at our schedule, we don't have any of these weird Friday night games. There may be a couple later games, but very few. They're
all Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
So they killed off, like you're talking. There's no Friday games. They aren't trying Thursday, which, I mean, I don't know. Thursdays aren't really popular in the NFL anyway, so I'm not really saying that they need that anyway. But they got the main weekend ones all locked down. No matter what, you're 2 days of the week, you're knowing there's going to be a game on, and they're guaranteed every week, no matter what. One game is going to be on national television to where you can just turn your TV on, and it's that simple. You have that channel ready to go. There's nothing more needed for it. So it's a really, again, it kind of emphasizes what's great about this broadcast deal, having NBC in your corner like this. And again, I thought last year, to me, you're talking about broadcast crews, their crews are great. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I have been just waiting to get to hear Joel Klatt kind of analyze and break down the game hardcore. He is right now my favorite color commentator in all of football.
Right.
Like, without a doubt. Like, I liked him in college I liked him with Fox's college football, like their nationally televised game that he does with Gus Johnson. I like him there. But I got a new appreciation for him when he was with the USFL. Plus, again, I mean, I miss him bantering with Mike Pereira. That was like
the best.
Was like classic stuff.
The best.
Getting him, Jack Collinsworth showed to me like he does a solid job as well as a play-by-play. Curious who they're going to have fill in, because I don't think Garrett's going to be back because he got elevated.
Right.
So, that's still to be determined. But like, I think that there's great crews that they have between these two that I am very thrilled to see return. So, yeah, I mean, look, like I said, right now these guys they're gonna do a great job of these broadcasts. What I am curious to see is because now you have more hubs. I wonder if you do kind of get like a little bit more, like maybe not, maybe a little bit different flair for each one, I guess.
Oh, I think so.
Because I mean, so it's weird because I hope, I know it's going to be more of a challenge, but I hope they're still sticking with the 2 sky cams per stadium like they were doing. Because last year was easy. Now you have 1. But as you're going to see as they build out moving through this next month, now you got 4 places to, if we want to do 8 sky cams total across the way or things like that. That's what I'm curious to watch out for. I'm hoping it's returning. Nothing's been said it hasn't, but like things I do consider with more of an expanse, you do have more things you have to build around,
right?
More trucks, more satellites to pull out there,
Well, that's what I've been curious about drones. Are we going to see drones again? Right? It's one of those things that some people loved it. Some people not so much. I was a huge fan. I thought it was just a cool new element to the game. Maybe not so much live during the action, but for the replay value alone, there was some really cool stuff that came out of having those drones on the field. And being at the game, watching them whiz by players' heads, that was pretty fun in itself, right? And trying to find like, all right, where's the drone operator, like looking around,
The camera angles are what were my faves. I personally loved any of the runbacks, or honestly the kickoff angles for them are really good. Like they had someone that were like leadoffs where you're like following the ball going up and into the receiving team's arms. So that I want to see return. I think the drones will be back. I do think that, we are kind of, debating and speculating this a little, but I think it's going to come down to, how many games will they use them like last year?
Right.
I think beginning of the season, you're going to see a lot of them, but then like they'll maybe drizzle off as the mid-season comes, and then maybe they kick them back in for the playoffs and the late season pushes type of stuff when people are getting ready to tune in to see where their teams are at.
Sure.
Maybe some folks that are cycling in and out, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. Yeah. And I mean, it might even be something that we see by host stadium, right? Like, I don't know. Does Ford Field, having a dome? I don't think it would impact having a drone, but does it? I don't know. Right? Like, so there might be something in that as well. We know at least that Tom Benson can, because it was there for the playoffs. It was there for the championship. Same with the double sky cam. I feel like we'll probably see it again, if anything, because it looked like Fox, essentially what they did was use the USFL as a testing grounds for a broadcast capability that they ended up using in the Super Bowl. I remember that was one of the things that they were touting going into the big game is, hey, we have 2 sky cams. Hey, I've seen that before. I know where you tested that. And that's kind of the beauty of Fox owning this league. I know this is way off track, but it is on the TV side. I don't know if I brought this up during when we were talking about the Daytona 500. So we're going back a couple weeks ago. But my friend was over here. And I flipped it on because I was like, I wonder if they'll put a USFL promo on Daytona 500. And right as we did it, it was when they started interviewing Skip Holtz and D. Filippo over on the sidelines. And I told my friend, I said, see, this is something that nobody else can do. Fox, though, can wedge the USFL into any major sporting event they're hosting, whether it be the Super Bowl or the Daytona 500. And I'm sure we'll see it further down the line with some of the other events that they'll be broadcasting here in the future. But just seeing the USFL mascot at a Pistons game last week.
Yeah.
Sign them up, right? I mean, there's some conversations that need to happen for that to go down. And I mean, having Fox as a broadcast partner, I think helps get in the door a little bit easier than you would maybe normally. And now when you have a broadcast schedule like this, because again, okay, let's say you're the Pistons guy, and you're saying, well, I don't know, why should we help promote you? And you say, well, look here, we're actually, what do you mean help promote us? Most of our games are going to be on free over-the-air broadcast TV. We're going to be neighbors to you guys. We want to boost the city. And there's at least some legitimacy there. So if I tied it around at all, that's probably the best as it's getting on that front. But TV, it's all good. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very curious to see what broadcast elements come back and if we have anything new to come along with it.
If anything, I'm very thrilled to just have I think both of these two. Like I said, they're I agree with you. I personally Sunday Night Football has been a staple of NFL, like I would say top-notch broadcasting for a while in terms of elements and graphics and all that. Say what you want about, of course, Chris Collinsworth, but beyond that, I mean,
Do people not like Chris Collinsworth?
Look, yeah, it's mixed. It's mixed in the NFL. Do you not see these?
First Colin Cowherd and now Collinsworth. What is wrong with these people?
Chris Collinsworth has a mixed reputation with some NFL fans.
I just thought he had a mixed drink. Anyway, let's move on.
Oh, wow. Wait, you got me good. All I'm telling you, I'm happy that I'm happy again. These are partners for this is all I could say. They great. Two of the top-notch football broadcasters in the nation. This is a good deal. I'm so happy that this year it's even gotten better, and it's better times, better everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's everything you could have wanted in the season 2, right? They're really living up to the plan. Get on the field and then adjust and expand and tighten everything up. And I mean, again, it's going to be hard to top this in season 3, right? I mean, it's going to be hard to say we're going to have over 29 games in season 3. Now, if they can match that, and I'll even afford them 4 games if they can keep, 25 of the games nationally broadcast. I still think that's a win. Either way, I don't think a lot of people expected to see this out of the league, and I'd love to see it.
I do wonder if next year, and again, this is more of a talk about Fox instead of like the league itself. I do wonder if Fox does kind of start moving the direction with like FS1 to start like doing the simulcast nature of this, kind of like Peacock. I know that Fox is different in terms of the streaming wars, in terms of like everyone else. They have Tubi, which is their big play. But I don't know what their plan is fully with like FS1 and their sports channels with the streaming section. Like I don't see them making an ESPN Plus, but I do wonder if next year maybe they're like, well, we got 7 games. Like let's make that, maybe we can move that as like maybe premium content on Tubi. Because again,
right.
Like if you follow Fox, and this is a TV industry thing, like you follow Fox, their big bread and butter, of course, is their main TV ads. But Tubi is a huge part of their future business.
Oh yeah,
it continues to grow. It is their big push in, of course, into streaming. But like it's been year over year consistently growing exponentially.
It's bigger than people know. Tubi is huge.
You do have to question. Yeah. You have to question it because like it's not just like the free content with like movies and stuff. They have like free TV channels. So like, that's why I bring up, like, I wonder if next year maybe they do like, hey, like $5 for like an add-on USFL package or something.
Right.
Then you have where you can get both your games simulcast. I don't know. This is, again, me theorizing all this, but, just a thought to go with. But seriously, guys, like, even besides those 7 games, like, you are getting an insanely good, like, easy access package to get in for games. Like, $5, and you get pretty much almost every game you want.
Right on. And I mean, the ones that you can't get, it gives you an excuse. Go to a sports bar. Go meet some other USFL fans that are out there trying to watch the game as well.
You go. And that's the easy solution. You want to go watch FS1, make it a day for yourself. Instead of having to pay for cable, maybe going out and find a bar and ask them to flip on FS1 when you get the chance.
They'll do it. The answer's always yes. You just come with a smile, not with a frown.
There you go. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. So they got the broadcast deal out of the way. Obviously, we've been keeping up with training camp as we're talking today. Players are coming in. Coaches are already there. People are starting to show up.
It's happening.
It's training camp season.
RonPaul.gif. It's happening. Right? Yeah, people are showing up. Beyond so we were talking about players, coaches, staff, social teams, Zach. So we're seeing the kind of an expansion into those different groups. It seems like each hub has their own dedicated social person and some interns in the mix there as well. And I'll tell you, you've already kind of seen the fruits of that labor, because it seems like maybe the person in Detroit has been hired for a while, but that we're starting to see some fun content. We saw, I'll always call him Party Panther, but Pablo We saw Pablo kind of getting to learn the scene in Detroit just not too long ago. And I'm excited to see that when it comes to the rest of these social teams as well. And they're not even out of the mix. We saw, I think it was Robert Morris posted earlier, they're helping people get signed in for training camp. I mean, God bless their souls. They're doing in double duty there. The league, I mean, it's get it done by any means necessary. Now, before we get into training camps here, something that got announced right before everybody started, showing up, because it's just check-in day on the 20th. EMU, it was expected. We had heard rumors, we heard murmurs, but now it's official. Eastern Michigan University, their facilities are going to be used for USFL training, meetings, practice, you name it. They're going to be there. Who? What? Well, it's the Michigan Panthers and the Philadelphia Stars. You should know that already.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're going to be sharing Ford Field as their central hub, or as their hub for the season. Well, they're also going to be sharing EMU Zach, you found some good nuggets in here that I probably skipped over initially. But before we get into that one here, they're going to use EMU's Rynerson Field and the Student Athlete Performance Center for training, meetings, practice as they prepare to kick off the USFL second season in April. Now, here's the one. I've seen a little bit of grunting online, but I still think there's a light at the end of the tunnel here. It says, unless announced, all practices will be closed to the public. Now, I get it. People want to go to the practices. I get also why they would close them to the public. Here's where I think there's going to be an opportunity here. It says, unless announced. I think that opens the door.
That's the key. I don't think it would be wise for them to not, with you now having the Panthers here, and especially, look, we've been following like metrics and all that. Like Michigan's looking like it's going to be the de facto big hub this year. Like the one that I think is the big gem that the league's aiming to make its centerpiece. I don't think you close all those practices. Like the way that's phrased is that they're saying, look, we got practices coming. They're obviously the short answer is, they're going to be by default closed, but we don't know which ones we'll be able to schedule yet for open. That's how I read it.
Sure.
They're going to open at least a practice during training camp. I think it would be silly if you didn't, because you have that much fan engagement and it would be a good social media grab to be like interacting with players. They're going to have at least one. I suspect.
For sure.
If they don't, I think that would be a big missed opportunity. But like that language suggests that they are debating on which dates that they would do it. Because I mean, come on, there's so many practices leading up in training camp that you can do this. They just need to really schedule ahead. That's the thing. You gotta, the deal gets solidified. So now you gotta be like, okay, which day or days can we pick?
Right.
They're not going to close all of them. I think they're going to at least open one. Make it like a big fan of
for sure, as they should. Now, the only reason I would see that they might not do it is because they're scared of the gamblers for that week one, and they don't want their plays to get out. But I can at least see them going and letting open the Stars practice.
all these people from Houston flying up to Eastern Michigan to may get some beef going.
I was sitting on that one for a little bit too, but
you sneak these on me, and I have to get better at like throwing them under on you, because you just find ways to throw me off my game with this stuff. So, okay, sure, whatever.
Well, I mean, I would be scared too. They're playing the gamblers. I mean, all in 12-0 Destiny season, and that's just year one, 36-0 minimum. God, I hope they win that first game.
All in, and you're dealing with a hand of 2 2s.
Oh man! But anyway, practice. I just out of the facetious zone. I think they'd be silly not to open at least one of these bad boys up. Probably closer to the season. Momentum. It's silly, but it's a thing. It's a thing.
Yep.
It's like, okay, people might ask, why, if you know who's going to be a guest at Springstock, why not announce it now? Well, I'll tell you, Zach, people have short attention span. I want to, self-admittedly, I want people to remember for the duration between the time that I announce it and the time that the show happens. And so, using this as, the adverse example is, why have an open practice 3 weeks before kickoff, 4 weeks, when you could do it maybe a week and a half before? And maybe you do some giveaways and give out some tickets and shirts and give some hot dogs, whatever. I mean, we saw something like that similar over in Canton the other day. Our boy, community legend Ducky, was in the house, but they had some, they had some of the coaches there. They had the trophy there. And it was a great way to meet, some of those people that you're going to be bumping into at these games, and pick your seats. Pick your seats. Get them while they're hot. Man, I'm looking forward to it.
No, that without a doubt, get that going. I want to talk on this a bit more, I guess maybe in between before we go to like one of the next big subjects. But like, dude, I love what they did at the Canton event with the whole. They're doing like a branding thing called committed to Canton, which is pretty much, it's to display the league and the Hall of Fame villages basically hand in hand step with this process. I mean, that they've embraced each other really well. And I think they see this as a big step in the future for the league. So, I really love that branding, and shout out, of course, thank you, Ducky, for live streaming that on Instagram for us. That was awesome. Because I actually have a surprise speculation topic I'm going to bring up at the end of the show because of a question that someone had at during that live stream. I'll hold off. I do want to bring up a few of the quotes. I really might as well bring up a few of the quotes or bits that I found from this PR. So, first things first, and this is a little bit of a history lesson for you people out there that are, maybe you're all are spring football buffs. Maybe you'll remember this if you're much older as well. I don't know. But here's the first quote. This is the second time Ypsilanti and Eastern Michigan's campus has been tabbed as a venue for a professional football franchise. In 1974, the Detroit Wheels of the World Football League, and we're going way back now, mid 70s in this one, operated out of Rynearson Stadium. So the Detroit Wheels, they were, again, part of the now defunct World Football League. They were, that's kind of the basis of, I guess, where it's like you kind of talk back to where that professional scene and setup was for the discussions about maybe Rynearson is going to be, that choice before Ford Field was solidified. But I mean, clearly, Detroit's history of spring football doesn't just date to the Michigan Panthers. They did start with the WFL, which, for all credence, did start with a bang, and then it just fizzled out because of a few knickknacks here and there. One of them being that they inflated ticket numbers, by the way. So,
what can you do?
Little history. Nonetheless, though, I thought I wanted to bring it up because, hey, spring football history, I'll always like to acknowledge. Second off here, this is a quote from Doug West, USFL's Senior Director of Football Operations. The USFL is appreciative for the tremendous support from Eastern Michigan University, our partners in Ypsilanti, Ann Arbor, and across Southeast Michigan, and countless other community and sports leaders in Detroit and around the region for bringing the USFL back to the state of Michigan. Continues, quote, this state has a rich tradition of being fanatic about football, and the USFL has come home to Michigan because fans here share our passion to celebrate football as much as we do.
All I ask, other than the first game, give Michigan a winning football team, and they will show up. Now, I get it. You got to start out 0-1. Get over it.
No, it's 1-0 because you want to come back 2-0 and then have that crowd even more pumped. So, yeah, you know what? To me, here's how I'm spinning this. You are rooting against the greater good. This is what you're doing right now. See, the greater good would be to pump that hub. I got a 3-0 team coming back to the Motor City, or 2-0 team, but still, I'll make it 3-0 after they beat the Generals. And
here's the thing: I need my team to do extraordinary this year because I need a hub next year. I need to go down to wherever and throw a party, a tailgate. It's Texas, Zach. We could probably shoot off fireworks from our car in the parking lot. I'll do it.
Probably could. You probably could do that.
There's a lot of things we could do, but I will look forward to it because I'll tell you this. If we have spring stock in Houston, I already know the plan. There's a couple guys that do barbecue that own their own farm and all that. They raise their cattle.
Yeah.
Take care of the cattle and serve the cattle. Man, that I don't care how much it costs. I'm getting them to come out to Springstock because it is amazing. Now, all we need to do, 12-0, all in, the league's going to say, well, we're sitting on a gold mine here. Give them, we'll probably get NRG. They'll sell out in seconds.
Oh, man.
I mean, open up the Alamo Dome again somehow. Fox, I know you got some cash. It might cost a little bit, but dude, USFL Stadium, Gamblers Stadium, Houston, Texas, rebadge it.
Okay.
Put that Houston G on the top.
No joke. Like that would, it's not, I mean, that'd be beautiful. But like, can you imagine if like, for some reason the city of Houston and this is just me following the Alamo Dome thing, cause I have, for some reason, this weird fascination about the history of that arena or of that Coliseum. But can you imagine if, all the infighting locally about what to do with that, and then they go, USFL return, bring the Gamblers back to where they played. Let's invest millions of dollars. We're going to bring this place back up to code and make it again the sixth wonder of the world like it used to.
It'll be the seventh now. It'll be even better. It doesn't make any sense. But either way, if you dream it, just dream it, believe it, make it happen, do whatever you need. But yeah, bring the team. I'm telling you, as silly as it sounds, I know there was a lot of people riffing on the XFL for the Vegas situation, and they were thinking about maybe going to a high school stadium. In Texas, that's not an insult. There's a stadium in Katy, Texas that holds, I think, like 10,000 for a high school stadium, and it's nice. It's nicer than any high school stadium I've seen. Let's see. Let me look up the name of this here. Football stadium. I know it'll never happen. Jack Rhodes Memorial Stadium holds 9,800 people. Formidable. And it's not in an L shape on a baseball diamond in Vegas with no grass. It's beautiful. Anyway, Push comes to shove. Call the ref. I'll make it happen. I mean, I'll walk into that school board and say, hey, here's what you need to do. You ever thought about getting into the pro football business? That's all they'll need to hear. From there, I'll show them our 12-0 record. You just need to make it happen. Release the script.
Sure. I'll give you 11-1. We'll be, or sorry, no, I'm sorry. This
I
be 10-2.
don't like that either. Championship of Destiny.
See, because here's how this will work. It'll be grudge match part 2 if you do it this way, where the Panthers will sweep the series then in the championship in Canton, Ohio.
I don't like that either. No, but I really, how amazing would it be if our two low record teams from last year met up in the championship this year? It would give, summer stock would be wild. If you think that the grudge game tailgate is going to be crazy, just all you need to see is any of my teams anywhere close to a championship, and you're going to say, oh, he's crazy. He needs to be institutionalized. So I hope you get to see it because 12-0 all in, baby. So we talked about training facilities. You know what else we have before the training camp? A very actual important part of training camp. Well, it's finally final. It's officially official. The USFL officially released all of the coaching staffs for all 8 franchises earlier this week. Now, it's kind of as expected. The coaches, the teams with new coaches, well, they generally have a wildly different coaching staff. Still some carryover. Coaching staffs of teams with the coaches that carried over. A lot of consistency year over year. Some differences. Some changes there. Realistically, here's what you guys should do because I think it's important to note. We need to support these USFL social teams. Just like when we ask you guys to like our videos, share our videos, the more you like and retweet or share any of these things on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be, the better it is for the league. Now, here's something. Again, I'm a marketing guy, Zach. What comes marketing, comes budgets. I want, at the end of this year, those teams to be able to say, look at how much more engagement we got by expanding the team. Give us more for potential further engagement. And it starts with you guys out there and me. I share it and like it all. Sign us up.
Yeah.
So make sure you're doing it. But while you're there, You got the coaching staffs. We're getting the content, which kind of leads into really the big topic here. Players, coaches, and social staffs are now all reporting for training camp. We've seen his name escapes me. I apologize if you're listening, but the new Stallions social person, he was posting from his airplane. He was posting out front of Protective Stadium with the big football. He's getting ready to have a good time in his new home, and I'm ready to see that new content. We talked about it earlier with the Panthers, Party Panther, whatever, Pablo, whatever you want to call him. He's out on the scene eating at mom's spaghetti, getting hanging out with the Fist, the Spirit of Detroit, getting live, getting fired up. And I'm excited to see that for the rest of these social teams or the rest of the teams, right?
Yeah. No, hey, shout out to Keegan Hartman, man. I was going to say he's been thrilled to get out there and kind of get started. So he's out in Birmingham today. So, great to see that. But yeah, other social teams are starting to be out there. We saw a lot of footage, particularly at the Memphis hub today, and a lot of footage for players arriving today at the Canton hub as well. So those two right now are definitely getting a lot of that video churned up at this time, which is nice. Like I said, it's great to see a lot of these coaching staffs coming in here. I'll tell you, the Memphis one had a lot of media coverage for people. It's almost like they were doing like basically a media session saying, hey, come on down. Again, we're going to have like Brady White and company here. We're going to have Dave Rosano, who's been he's been in a lot of these videos today. General manager for the Showboats is there. So yeah, a lot of people, like I said, coaches are reporting, players are reporting today, at least as we're recording. And then next week, we'll finally get the first on-field practices. Should be seeing a lot more content of of like plays, some big plays in practice and all that. Hopefully I'm hoping this year we'll see a bit more, I would say at least a bit more of the kind of like the funny social media stuff, like Q&A type of things, like leading out to practices and all that, but we're just kicking things off. As you might know, and as you've seen, the USFL, they have their own social strategy. It is their way that they do it. They bring people in. It's a big focus on the season. They get some content if they do through the year, and they come back in and make a big focus again in season. So, we're getting a lot of that in terms of details right now. Might as well go down the rest of the schedule while we're at it. Thanks to USFL Comms for sharing this, which that account's been a lot more active, and they share a lot of the technical PR stuff for the league. So here's the rest of your rundown for the season. So obviously, I said the 19th, the 20th is training camps opening for the 58 player rosters to hit the fields, to get into practices. And then things just kind of start progressing from there. So we got the rest of the cut down schedule. So April's going to look like this. April 2nd, you're going to have 4 players cut from each roster. You have to get down to 54 by April 2nd. April 8th, you have to be at your 50-man roster by April 8th. Remember, 50 is the total. 40 are active, 10 are inactive practice squad this season until next year when they adjust it to 42 active, 8 due to the CBA negotiations from this past summer. So that's going to be down to 50 by April 8th. And then the 10th, you're going to have week 1 beginning with the 50-player rosters fully. So, that's where practice week will start that week with the 50. By the end of the April 8th practice week, you'll have to have your 50-man roster cut down. So that's what they're talking about in that sense. And yeah, we kick off 15th and 16th week.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see, like you said, the little tidbits, the goodies, the little videos, little social clips that come out of training camp. With the expanded social teams, I think we're going to get more of it. With the expanded hubs, it gives us more opportunities to see different things. Now I think about it's not United by Football, but if we do get a season 2 of United Football, which I don't know if it has been confirmed yet, I hope it is. I mean, I look forward to, we saw them, traveling around Birmingham last year. I want to see all the different hubs now, right? Like traveling around in Detroit, going around in Memphis, Canton, Ohio. There's some good historical stuff in all of those cities. We talked so much about Birmingham last year because it was the central hub, but I mean, Detroit between Motown and Heidelberg, which I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like an art installation. There's so much amazing stuff that you can see down there. I know Memphis has a rich history, and Canton, Ohio, man, I had a blast out there. And we're talking about the birthplace of football. So if you go downtown Canton, there's football stuff everywhere, right?
Oh, of course.
I'm looking forward to seeing all of that, whether it's on social media, whether it's on United by Football, in any way possible. And like I said, I'll say it once more just because, you know what? I feel like a community ambassador sometimes, but make sure you're supporting these USFL social teams. I get it. You don't want to follow all the teams. If you're like a homer, you're a Panthers guy, that's cool. But make sure you're following that Panthers account then. Make sure you're out sharing so you can get as many other Panthers fans to see them lose on the opening day against the Gamblers. I get it. You know what? But, you know, if you're a Gamblers fan, all in, you're already there. I don't even have to worry about you guys. Winning attitude. That's how we do it.
I mean, I don't got to worry about my Panthers either because, quite frankly, you know, we ended on a high note anyway. We were already winning the end of the year. Momentum's just going to keep on going up anyhow. You know, it starts week 1, obviously, where it will continue to go that way. There's no doubt about it. So, you know, we don't even need to worry about a discussion moving forward about who's going to win the grudge game. Stefan, you might as well fly home to Houston.
You know, Zach, watch this game be like 50-50 at the end of the game, going to do a shootout time. We'll both have like heart attacks from like, what if it's like 32-32 or something?
We did have a fan of the show because, you know, you guys have been seeing we keep this beef up on Twitter. Like we're keeping it going, obviously. But what was great is like we had one of our posts about this, and because they were showing off, it was the Gamblers showing like basically a high up like stadium shot of the Liberty Stadium, and so one of our fans goes, after we're talking, it's gonna be low scoring. He goes, watch it be like a 30-30 overtime like game, and I'm like. Damn right, I better be an OT game. You know how much I would want to see that? Like we're talking crap, but I would totally be down for like it's all in the cards, like shootout OT for that neutral site game. So
I'm running on the field. I'm gonna have my own flags with me, and I'm gonna try to be. I don't care by any means necessary. We're winning that game. People are gonna look around and say, "Was that a legit ref?" By then, I'll be gone. By the way, hey, if anybody from the league's watching, can I get an official USFL referee shirt? I swear I won't run on the field and throw a flag during that opening game. I swear of it.
It doesn't have to be exact. It's just got maybe a little bit off. You can put the patch for the league somewhere else on the uniform, like just enough to where like, hey, look, it looks close enough. Like, I agree. We need to get this thing set up for you. You need to get something with a patch on.
Yeah,
there.
And maybe I'll make my own. I don't know. I am kind of fond of this really cheap $10 Halloween ref shirt. But one of these days, I want to go all in, if you will.
I'm fond of my ref shirt that I am going
Yours
to keep
is probably
for
better quality
Bizarro
than mine.
World. For that day, I got to go solo when I need to dress half like myself.
When you kick me off,
which
the
is really
show.
just some dude in a t-shirt that's related to the league's item. Summer stock coming up later this year. Yeah. Oh man. It's good to see some of this content coming out here. I think what was nice too, and it wasn't as much caught up yesterday because I think it was more supposed to be like a kind of like a season ticket holders event, but like Canton did have an RSVP event for pretty much both the teams. It was weird for me because thank God first off Ducky live streamed this, and it showed like there's actually a lot of Generals presence there, more than I thought. Not saying in terms of fans, but like, you know, they had the General jersey, not Marty the Mauler, but understandable. The uniforms haven't been revealed, so maybe they're changing colors. But like, you know, they had a lot of General stuff there. You know, General's helmet for photo shoot and things like that. They're doing the commitment to Canton thing. And I think this is going to lead into our next actual speculation zone segment. So if you're ready, I'm ready to cue up that bad boy.
Let's go.
Welcome into the speculation zone. I am bringing this in because I'm surprising the ref on this one. So if any of you watched the Duckies live stream, so you might have heard one question brought up that I think needs some attention to detail and got me thinking a little bit. So originally the league advertised this as more of like a Pittsburgh hub, and it still kind of is. It's 2 hours away. But a gentleman brought up a good point at this event and questioned one of the league representatives there that was asking, so we have the Canton hub and we're kind of bringing people in, but this is like Cleveland market area. is there a chance, or how do we get to a point where Cleveland gets a team or this area gets its own team? And I think this is a conversation that keeps growing, is that, okay, Canton's being more tied hand in hand with each other with the league. They are eventually going to go to Pittsburgh. They're eventually going to go to the tri-state area for New Jersey, but I do wonder, speculation zone, is this not, say, if this is not a test for, say, the Maulers in terms of a market, is this a litmus test for the testing of Ohio as a market? Because that event to me got me thinking a bit, going, wait a minute, there is Pittsburgh Maulers presence here, but they made it like equal ground for both. It's not like, it doesn't feel like the PRs where it was like more Pittsburgh hub now. They're trying to make it like equal ground for both fan bases to make it like a neutral site type of thing. So speculation, is this a test for the league moving forward?
I'll tell you this. Is it a test or could it be a test? Here's the thing. If they exceed expectations for that stadium for 2 away teams, I think, of course, it gets put in the mix of, well, do we move a team here? Do we expand a team here? Right? We've seen in the longer term plans, they've already talked about expansion. They haven't really put any timelines around when we might see that happen. But again, Zach, if you can pull in a decent crowd for 2 away teams, I think that does become part of the discussion, whether it's part of the discussion now or not. Because, for Canton's sake, the Hall of Fame committee, they're going to look at that and say, well, we're not using the stadium during this time anyway, but now we're filling in seats. We're getting in concessions. And hey, wouldn't you know it, attendance to the Pro Football Hall of Fame doubled just by having a game there that day. And again, these are numbers that are made up. So I'm just saying, speculatively or theoretically, whatever happens throughout the season, then yeah, I think it gets brought up in the mix. Then it turns into, was it going to be a relocation like we saw with the Bandits, which would be, if it happens, the first time a team relocates to a city that didn't exist in the original USFL, or do we see an expansion? And then, I think Ducky was the one that joked about this months ago, but boy, oh boy, does it make sense to have a Canton Gold with those gold jackets in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. You're really getting my northern side out of me today.
Yes. But, yes, but that it ties in. But I asked this because, again, I don't know, maybe it's just that Canton event, but that live stream, like I said, they really made it seem like it was trying to appeal to both audiences as equal as possible, even though, the press releases have been kind of implying it's a Pittsburgh's hub, but it doesn't seem like it's Pittsburgh's hub. They're trying to make it Canton's hub. This is the community's hub, which that speaks to if they tune out or tune in and they come over here, what's stopping us from saying we debate on picking a place in Ohio? Maybe not Cleveland, but like some people say Columbus is ripe for the taking. They have an MLS stadium out there, the Crew, they have a diehard base that does watch these leagues, spring leagues that is, and has been proven that demographic wise, that city tunes in because they don't have Ohio State playing during the spring season. They have to wait longer, so that's a pro team. Like, this is stuff I'm curious about because, again, maybe I'm over, and sure, maybe some people in the comments will say you're overreacting, but like, hey, I don't know about you, but like, if I was at the Canton hub and it was of the Maulers hub in particular, I would have put a lot more Mauler stuff in there and less, Generals items. Sure, the Steve Smith interview, I get it, having him, and you want to at least still talk to that person, but like the rest of them, who's the main guy in these markets? Memphis has a lot more focus than Houston. Michigan definitely has more focus than Philadelphia in that market right now. And of course, Birmingham is more focused than the Breakers. All the Breakers are making a damn good case that they should be in a city next year without a doubt, because they continue being one of the top merch sellers according to the website. So I'm just saying, like, Canton's the one that's very much it's almost like a weird melting pot one. They're trying to see, like, well, maybe this is a specific audience that we can support, because it's in between these two markets. Like, that's what got me fascinated. Right. That event, the commitment to Canton thing, I think that is a brand for specifically, let's appeal to the Canton audience, the local fan bases in Eastern Ohio. So I don't know. I thought that was some people I thought was unique. Maybe were like, this is an interesting question, but maybe not. But to me, I'm digging deeper. I'm like, that's not a bad question to ask when you see how they're advertising it as of earlier this week. So,
and the way I look at it, when you're this early on, and I know it's the first time we've gotten to a season 2 in quite a while, and probably in a lot of our listeners' lifetime, to be quite honest with you. But I mean, everything's on the table. That's the way I would look at it. If it works, it's on the table. I mean, I think that's probably what got us to the position where Canton is serving as a hub without even a home team. You know what? It worked for the playoffs. It worked for the championship. It could work for the season. I love the size of the stadium. Tom Benson, I think, is an awesome size. And then when you add in the amenities beyond the Pro Football Hall of Fame, they're building the whole village out there, right? And so at the end of all this, that is going to be a sweet spot to go see a USFL game, whether it's the Maulers, the Generals, or something new, right? But hey, if it works, they'd be silly not to explore it, right?
Right. Well, not without a doubt. I mean, again, the future of the league is kind of its own. It's still open-ended in a way. You know, there's some things people want to go towards, but like, again, I find that fascinating because Canton really is truly it is the oddball in terms of the 4 hubs because of the fact that it's not directly in a city, you know, and the way they can advertise it. So, you know, to me, like maybe they take a little more risk in trying to like appeal. You know, they have, of course, a local branding agency they used last year for the championship game that they are using to appeal to not only Pittsburgh, but to the Ohio area. So again, I mean, that's where I kind of bring a lot of this up is that's not a crazy thing to bring up because Canton is so tied in now, second year. I mean, if those people they're like it, I mean, and if especially the Hall of Fame continues to say, guys, you're bringing in some money for us and you're giving us entertainment, like, well, shoot, why not continue that conversation in Ohio? Like, that's just where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
Either way, it's fun to speculate about because these are the things that sooner or later, one day down the future, maybe the speculation turns into confirmation. And we can always look back on this and say, what were we right about and what were we so wrong about? I mean, 5 years from now, we could end up having, 2 teams in Ohio, one in Canton, one in Cleveland, something like that. Who knows?
I still remember one of our first speculation zones about us depicting on the coaches. I still will hold that in my cap that I said Skip Holtz is coming to the league. Even though I know it wasn't to the Breakers, I still am going to hold that one tight saying I think he's coming to the USFL. That's like one of my favorite moments as a podcaster is going, he looks like he's the guy.
And he was the guy.
He was one of the guys.
I mean, the guy, if you look down at the end of it, he's the one that's holding the trophy and hopefully getting that ring sometime soon. I think perfect event for opening weekend if anyone's listening. Give out the rings at Springstock. Come on, I know. Hey, that won't happen, but it could. It could.
Could you imagine? Just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna wrap this all into one big ceremony. Like,
there's just gonna be one guy there and be like, "I'm missing my ring." I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I don't know. There was one short."
2 days later, eBay collector's item, USFL championship.
There's just like a ref shirt sitting in the background, not even like conspicuous at all. No, I would never sell that. That would be up on the trophy shelf along with all the other trophies I stole. I kid. But anyway, good week. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. We're just less than a month, Zach. Less than a month until kickoff. Less than a month until Spring Stock 2. I'm getting hype. I'm getting excited. And hey, if you didn't catch it at the end, we'll fill you in right now. Spring Stock, the biggest party of the weekend. We're heading down for day 1 to Birmingham, Alabama, back where we kicked off last year. Back at, it was Todd English Pub. This year it's Casey's Sports Bar. Location is the same. Inside the Westin, across the street from Protective Stadium. Join us at 12 p.m. Central. We got good guests, good times, and good giveaways. And next week, we're going to start diving into those guests. And we might even start diving in to what some of those giveaways are. But hey, you can't make it to Birmingham, Alabama. We get it. Join us over on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Click the bell. It builds morale. It lets you know when we're live, including spring stock, because like I'm telling you, I know I'm building it up, but wait until you hear the guests, at least the beginning of the guests that we're going to announce next week. You're going to be blown away. You're going to want to be there, or you're going to want to tune in. But hey, one day later, we're heading a little bit northeast to Memphis, Tennessee for a grudge game tailgate where, Zach, I'm going to see you cry for the first time because the gamblers are going all in on those Panthers. The Panthers might have a hub, but the gamblers are getting the dub, if you get my drift.
You're right, because I'll be crying tears of joy for getting revenge on you from last year.
Oh, man, I'm telling you.
Wow, I'm so glad that you're on my side for this one. You did. Good job.
Well, either way, guys, you guys aren't going to want to miss it, because if you think we're talking smack here, we're not going to be online, so who knows what you're going to hear. Come and join us, 9 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Central. Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium out in the parking lot. The party's in the parking lot for day 2. We're getting live. We're talking smack with the Ref and Zach, and you aren't going to want to miss it. And then, hey, come and join us for a day, another game. You know, join us for the game. It doesn't matter where you sit in that stadium. You're going to hear me, good or bad. I'll just leave it at that. Social media, you know the drill. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, USFL Podcast. Make sure you're following us. Like the video. Review the podcast on the audio format. I think that's it, Zach. Hey, by the way, yeah, you know what? Breaking Tea, 10% off. USFL Newsroom, the code. Get signed up.
There you go.
Any other parting words before we head into the sunset here for episode 49, heading in to episode 50?
Stay close to your social media, people, because like I said, plenty more content the league's going to be dropping. Now that they're in hubs, you won't want to miss any of the stuff that they're posting out. And yeah, be ready for next week's episode too, because dude, seriously, when we say it's a big group of guests that we're having this year, yeah, you want to keep close to yourself on what you're going to be seeing. I can't wait to announce some of these people, Stefan. It's going to be so good.
People will be saying giddy up, that's for sure. I'll tell you that much. But hey, until next time, sign you all up.